Grand rising loungers. I hope everybody is doing as great as I am on this Sunday morning. Listen, guys, we have a few things to get into today in regards to Yakim Jordan or Yakim Manasseh Jordan, which is actually the son of Bishop Bernard Jordan. Okay. There was a lot of stuff going on with him and scamming. The people, there was these robocalls and all kinds of stuff going on. And I've actually got some court records that I'd like to go over with you guys in regards to him, okay? And some of the very eerie similarities between him and his father, okay, in regards to these prophecies. So we're most definitely going to get into these two today. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about some sector topics. Shout out to Photon DNA, who had a fire live show yesterday. There was so many things that happened on that show. It was just crazy. And I definitely want to go over a few of things with that. I also want to talk about D. Durrell's show and some of the things that he had talked about. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the Smoke God show. He had an excellent show last night. And shout out to him, Samba Queen, as well as Mrs. Smoke, because they had some great conversation. And I'd like to highlight a little bit of that as well. But we are definitely going to get into this Kojic Church information today. Truly appreciate all of you for being in the building. Make sure that you guys do hit the like button on the way in. What's up, Miss Murph? My opinion. And Mikey, I appreciate all of you guys for being on. And yes, Photon will be going live in about 30 minutes or so. So I am looking forward to going over there and listening to the show. Apparently, he may be talking to the brother. I don't know what's going on. I hope it ain't clickbait. But yeah, it looks like we may be talking to Knockout's brother today. So we're going to go ahead and take a look into this and see what's going on. But I definitely wanted to get this out of the way and talk about this with you guys because we haven't talked about anything from the church in a couple of weeks. So we are going to get into this today. Truly appreciate y'all. And again, y'all hit the like button on the way in. Let's go ahead and get started, guys, with the show.
trials and tribulations, but I made it.
Amen, 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 church. I hope everybody is having a great Sunday. And yes, we are going to get into all of this stuff today in regards to what is going on with Yakim Jordan, okay, aka Manasseh Jordan, aka Prophet Manasseh. He's got all kinds of different names, okay, and he's actually under all of these aliases within this court records that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about Bishop Jordan, and but not much. We'll get into him on another Sunday because he has quite a few things going on with him as well. But I just wanted to highlight his son today and some of the very eerie similarities between the two of them, okay, and how a lot of things have happened, but particularly with Yakim and how he has been in the courts and has been sued, and various things have happened with him. But we'll get into that in just a moment. But first, let's get into some of these sector topics, because I know most of you who are watching my show today will also be watching Photon's show. He'll be going live pretty soon. That doesn't stop content creators from going live, though. So if you want to watch another content creator, you just go to them. You can't tell a content creator to cut their show short, right? No, you can just tune out and just go there, right? That's what I do. If I want to watch a content creator and another content creator is live, I'm going to watch their show. And then when the other content creator goes live, I'm just going to go over there. I'm not going to ask you to shorten your show or anything like that. And that's just a little bit of courtesy. Okay. Now, also, I really want to particularly talk about what happened yesterday in Photon's show and some of the highlights of the show, and also talk about Darrell's show and what happened there and what happened with Smoke's show. So let's start with Photon's show. That show was absolutely phenomenally crazy. Okay. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was 10 hours long. I definitely didn't stay for the entire 10 hours. I was in and out. And every time I tuned back in, there was some new fire going on in the show. Okay. So some of the highlights are that Darrell and Samba were on the panel, of course. Of course, we had our very own favorite knockoff media that went up there while he's still shot in the hospital, still talking trash. And Photon really dug in that behind this time, and he really let him know, that this ain't the way. So I like that. I like how Photon kind of put him in his place yesterday, and just wasn't allowing all the effery to go on with him as much as he has been. I really like that. I also like the fact that Samba seemed to have some really great advice on both panels. She was on Photon's panel, and she was also on Smoke's panel. Had very great advice, very good advice for the people in regards to how we handle things and how things go. I learned a lot about Samba in the past few days, and we even had our own fallout, very brief fallout, but we had a fallout, and I'm glad that happened, because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't know about her what I do. And when I learned what I learned, which is public now because she said it, but what I learned about her childhood, I was really, really taken aback by that. I was not that I was, like I wasn't like, I felt empathy. I'll say that. I felt real empathy for her. There's a difference in sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is just when you feel sorry for somebody, right? Empathy is when you can put yourself in that person's shoes and you can attempt to even make a solution or create a solution for the situation. That is the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? So I really empathize with her situation. And it's not because my parents did the same things. They didn't. Both of them were pretty straight neck. You're not going to find much on my parents, right? Maybe a traffic ticket on my mom, or something. Maybe a traffic ticket on my dad from like the 70s, but you're not going to find anything on them, right? So I'm blessed to have had that with my parents. But I understand childhood trauma, right? I definitely understand that, being though I had been through what I had went through as a child. And to hear what Samba went through as a child, I couldn't even imagine experiencing something like that. And I just want to give her my love. If no one else has ever told you that, you are a great person and you have overcome so many triumphs and so many tribulations, or you have overcome so many tribulations, and have become the beautiful flower that you are today. I want to let you know firsthand that I really, really appreciate you. And I get it, I totally get your stance on, how people treat people or how people talk to people, right? um, because that's probably triggering to you to see people, going off on people or see people kind of zapping out on people is triggering to you. And I can imagine why, you know. I thank God that you are a therapist and that you've taken the pain that has happened in your life and have turned it into something positive to put into other people, right? And to help other people. That is a blessing. And that's an amazing thing. That's even something that I attempt to do. I'm not a therapist, but if I deal with, whatever I've dealt with, if somebody has confided in me about what they have dealt with, which is similar to my situation, I can give my advice or I can give what I have done to get through those things, to people, because you can't teach anybody anything unless you've actually been through something yourself. So I just wanted to give her accolades on that and shout her out for that. That conversation was great with her. And even on Smoke God's panel, I'm just going to jump to that real quick. It made sense, a lot of things that you said, right? In regards to, how people are perceived and how people are treated and, how people are treated based off of how they're perceived, right? And how perception is so important. So I've taken all of these things to heart. I know you're not talking directly to me, but I take those things to heart when you give good advice like that. And I just want you to know that you are appreciated. And thank you for everything that you do contribute to the sector, because you contribute a lot more than you think. And people may not always want to hear what you're saying, but because it's the sector, right? This is where we kind of go off and we kind of do what we want to do. But you made a lot of sense out of what we do, and I'm going to put a link to Smoke's show in my description box so you guys can go and listen to it yourself and that great conversation that they had. But you did make a lot of sense of this space, right? We've talked about these things briefly before, but not in depth like y'all did last night, where, we talked about where you guys talked about, why people are in this space, right? Why people come here and what types of energy that people dump in this space, right? And I thought that was really important to kind of hear that, and everybody just kind of hear that and listen in on that, because it's very true. There's, oftentimes people just come here because, and what they perceive or what they put out into these YouTube streets is the pain that they're feeling in their own life. I've even experienced that. I can say that. I'll be honest with that. And I think that's what made me really connect to that conversation, because yes, I have experienced real pain and real trauma, and I might hear something that actually pushes me, and pushes my buttons based off of that, right? It's not so much that I want to, and I'm even consciously doing it. It just happens that way. And I want to watch that, I want to make sure that I'm not doing that. I want to make sure that I am communicating in a healthy way. I want to make sure that I'm not, screaming at the top of my lungs or yelling at the top. I'm not saying that it won't happen again, right? I'm just saying that I want to watch that for my own sake, not so much for everyone else, but even just for my own sake, right? And to preserve myself. So shout out to you for having that tough conversation and opening those things up and allowing other people to hear you. And even though you're not directly talking to anybody, you're giving out really good advice, right? And so I really do appreciate that. Now, Darrell also had a show yesterday. And his show, he talked about well, was it? I think it was yesterday. I think it was last night. I want to say it was. Either way, he talked about how being a professional and, the difference between being a professional and being a content creator and how you can't, necessarily mix the two, right? You can't do that. Number one, yeah, there's certain rules and regulations and laws in place that don't allow you to give certain advice without, not under the proper guise of being able to diagnose that person, or even as an accountant, you know what I mean? There's certain things I'm not allowed to do that would, put me in, or a banker, I'll say that wouldn't allow, I can't give certain advice on certain things and just start giving out financial advice and stuff like that without being in a certain setting. You know what I mean? So I try to steer away from stuff like that. I try to stay away from those kinds of things. I might give some things sometimes. I've had some videos about credit. I've had some videos about, buying homes and stuff like that. But I really don't get deep down into the crutch of financial advice and stuff like that, because that kind of runs into some gray areas. Okay. And I necessarily just don't want to do that. And I know other bankers that do the same thing right here in these YouTube streets. But Darrell and Samba, we know, are therapists, okay? And Darrell has his own practice. I don't know if Samba does or not, but Darrell has his own practices. And he has experienced a lot as a therapist. He has been in the therapy field for many, many years. And he understands the differences between his work and leisure time, right? And this is leisure time for most of us, right? Even if we are sometimes jumping up and yelling and screaming and taking stuff out on each other and stuff like that, it is still our downtime. It's not where we're at work and we have to wear that professional hat. We're here and we're people, People say things and do things that they don't necessarily mean. But they say things and do things when they tend to be more comfortable in the environment that they're in. Okay. So if you're in an environment where everybody's roasting each other, everybody's talking trash, everybody's doing their thing, you're going to fall into that at some point, right? Even as Samba had seen, she did a couple of times, right? You're going to fall into that. You're going to fall into those gray areas and say things and do things, And then, we hang around each other so often in these chat rooms and different things. We go and support each other. We've got new content creators coming out. Shout out to P and others that'll be coming out. We got, some new stuff happening, and we hang out all the time. So we're used to each other. We've been around each other for 3-4 years, some of us longer. And so we're used to, kind of cutting each other and, talking to each other like we're brothers and sisters. And we might argue and talk trash and do this and do that, but then we move on. Hopefully we move on. Most of us move on, right? There's some people that don't know how to move on. You know what I mean? They don't know how to let shit go. You know what I mean? Shout out to AAS. Okay. Yeah. They don't know how to let shit go, but most definitely, most of us know how to move on in life. We know how to not keep holding on to the same grudges and holding on to the same things. And we just go on with our lives, But it is important too, to remember that everybody does not necessarily have that ability, or they may not feel the same sentiments that you feel. You know what I'm saying? So you might say a whole bunch of stuff and talk trash and say this and say that, and then you move on. And you might even apologize, you know what I mean, and then move on. But that person is still feeling some type of way, you know what I mean? But they're quiet. They're not going to say anything because for the sake of just moving on, And that's important to remember in how people perceive you, right? How people's perception of you is. And I can self-correct with stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I am not being perceived as trying to come off hurtful to people or trying to come off disrespectful to people. Yes, I talk with a lot of fervor and energy in my voice. I've always been that way. I've always talked this way. I don't know how to change that, right? I've tried my best to try to soften my voice and all this stuff, but that's just not me, you know? I'm just a loud person by nature. And but I still have to, it's my responsibility to watch that, right? It's my responsibility to make sure that I tone it down a notch, right? And I don't, jump off and get off on some situation because I don't like it. Um, and I'm going to do that a little bit more. I'm going to do much my best to do that a little bit more. Um, I'm gonna say this though, when it came to, because I heard what y'all was talking about on Smoke Show in regards to CE, right? I don't find that funny at all, and I'm gonna tell y'all why I don't find it funny. And this is kind of where the hypocrisy would come in with that, because just literally a couple of minutes, prior to laughing about CE and what he said, there was a portion of the conversation where we were talking about literally that, right? Respecting people and and not taking things out on people, just because somebody has triggered you, right? And I think both CE and I could learn from that. But I have to say this: we got to look at the full picture of situations and why people perceive him the way that they do and why people treat him the way that they do. Okay. It's absolutely not funny that he would say, hey, if this was 1973, I would have slapped the fire out of her. He wouldn't have done that for sure. He most definitely wouldn't have done that. Okay. But without me fighting back, because I'm not a hoe and he's my pimp, and then I would allow such a thing, right? But either way, the point is, before me coming on that panel, this woman, Eyes, was sitting on that panel with multiple men who were just quiet and allowing this man to berate her as if she owes him something. He owes her money. Okay. Now, regardless, we all know she's not getting that back. That's irrelevant, and that's besides the point. The point is, how dare he jump on this panel and berate this woman as if she owes him money, as if she owes him something. She doesn't owe him any respect. She doesn't owe him a daggone thing. Okay. He owes money to her. So whether he's going to pay it back or not going to pay it back is completely besides the point. It's the point that how dare you feel that you have the right to come up and disrespect this woman when you have done nothing but disrespect her. That is the point, right? We all want to be treated the way we want to be treated. We all want to treat people, we want to be treated the way that we treat people, right? So if we treat people with respect, we expect respect. That's just it. I don't see where Eyes has been disrespectful to this man. I don't care what AAS has said. I don't care what Rev G has said. I don't care what narratives want to be spun. The bottom line is, he is the one that stole $820 from this female. And for him to be jumping down her throat the way that he was, it triggered me. Yes, it did. Okay. I admit it, Samba. It triggered the hell out of me. And I didn't like it. And I felt that if nobody else was going to say something, I would say something. I didn't intend for it to get that high up and that serious and that deep. He is the one that started talking about my mother. So once you talk shit about my mother, now I'm going to go the fuck in on your ass. I don't have a problem doing that. I don't have a problem talking about your mother. I don't have a problem calling you a hoe. I don't have a problem calling your mama a hoe and all this other stuff, since you want to disrespect my mother. Okay? Yes. So we can't have both, right? We can't say everybody should show each other respect and everybody should treat each other with respect, but then you turn around and it's okay for this Negro to disrespect two women in this sector the way that he did. That is perfectly fine. We could overlook that. But if the women speak back, how dare you? I'm going to need that hypocrisy to stop. That's what I'm talking about. We should be able to defend ourselves. We should be able to stand up for other women without us getting the pushback, but the male or the disrespectful one, that was okay. That's overlooked. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. We're going to just overlook that, and we're going to act like that never took place, right? That is the part where I believe, and even myself and others believe, that it's completely hypocritical. Okay, you can't have both. You can't say I want everybody to show everybody respect, but then overlook and deny, the BS that they bring to the situation that causes somebody to jump on them or causes somebody to yell at them. You can't do that. We can't have both. So that is the hypocrisy sector for you. That is the part of the sector that is the hypocrisy part of the sector. Okay. And it is what it is. But either way, people have their favorites and they are allowed that. They are entitled to their favorites, right? What you're not entitled to is to police other people who may be going through something with one of your favorites. That's what you're not entitled to. And that's what I wanted to discuss, because Darrell was right. Just because we're professionals and we're in this space doesn't mean that somehow now you can use my professionalism, against me to tell me how I'm acting out of line, right? Yeah. But then that same conversation doesn't come for the other professional who created the problem. That same conversation is not said to those people. It's only said to who's going against your favorites, right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest about that. Everyone has their favorites. Everyone has people that they fool with and people that they don't, okay? That's just it. We're not going to pretend everybody likes everybody and everybody loves everybody. You dislike the people that you push back at the most. That's what it is. Let's be honest, okay? And let's be real. But either way, or you dislike the fact that they're coming for one of your favorites. That's what it is, okay? But what you got to allow people to be is themselves, right? They can't be anybody else. They can't change who they are in their 40s and their 50s because you don't like them or because you don't like something they're doing. That's not how that works, right? You can just tune out. It's that easy. You don't have to be there. You don't have to watch them. You don't have to listen to what they're saying. You don't have to hear any of it. You can just tune out. And then you ain't got to worry about it, right? But then if you decide to tune out and not listen, don't come back later giving advice to them about how they should react or how they should behave or what they should do, because you weren't there for the full story, right? Just sit back, relax, and observe. That's it. That's all we got to do. And I think we all can learn from that, even myself. I think we all can do something in regards to that. Let's go on to another highlight of Photon's show, and then we're going to get into this one right here to Bernard Jordan and his son. So Carrie Ann got on the panel, y'all. Okay. For those who missed the show, which I'm pretty sure probably most of the sector has seen the show, because there was like 1,200 views on it last time I looked at it. So it was just more than just even our sector that was watching that. But either way, it looks like he got most of even the people that just come out of the woodwork coming to watch the show. But Carrie got on the panel, right? And I was like really, really taken aback by that, okay? Because, well, we know this is the hypocrisy sector. But either way, Carrie got on the panel and she was talking with Photon. Right. Because she just started mentioning things and started saying stuff about what he's thinking, what he's feeling, and all this stuff. And, she claimed that she was doing it to turn it around on him and this alleged psychological game of saying, oh, you said I'm ugly. You said I'm this. You said I'm that. You're right. I'm wrong. I worship you. You're right. I should have known that you were the richest bitch in the world and I should have stayed with you. And I didn't, and you're right, and now you got Samba up here, and she's prettier than me, and everything else, and you got it, right? And I was just like, oh man, right? Like, okay, here's my thing with Carrie, and I get it. You know what I mean? I understand what she's trying to say because Photon does spend a lot of time talking about Carrie Ann. He really does. Okay, but let's keep it a beam. We know why Photon talks about Carrie Ann. Photon really, I believe he loves her. I do. I believe he's in love with her. I believe that if he could really be with her, he would. And this is why he's always talking about her. And I believe she would too, right? I believe she would be with him under the right circumstances, if they had enough time to put into each other. I believe she would be with him. I do. And it really solidified it that yesterday when she got on that panel, right? Because for the past few months, or at least a year, Carrie has been talking about how this man is stalking her, how he's abusing her, how he's doing this, he's doing that. He's acting rapey and all kinds of crazy stuff that he's allegedly doing to her. I mean, and she's going on rants in the middle of the night, all up times of the morning, all kinds of the day, crying online, went through all this stuff, right? And like even down to the point where I remember when me and her was actually cool talking to her. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to talk about, the context of that conversation, but I ultimately even had a conversation with her myself to kind of talk her off the cloud, you know what I mean, over this situation. And, I'm feeling bad for her at that time until, y'all know the infamous issue between me and her. But either way, I've watched Carrie over the past year or so just literally going in on this man. Like, he is this, he is that, he is awful, he is terrible, he is so abusive. Oh, please help me, please. Why can't the men stop him? Why? Like all this stuff, right? And then to turn around and to be over there yesterday actually talking to him, you know what I'm saying? And actually engaging with him and all this stuff. All them arguments that Carrie had, all the stuff that Carrie said in regards to Photon, honey, as far as I'm concerned, is out the window, okay? She can no longer use any of those arguments, any of that stuff that she was saying about him stalking her, and she don't even listen to him, and she don't watch him, and she don't do any of this stuff. That is dead now, okay? So I don't know if she intended to dead all that, by getting on the panel, but that is dead now, okay? You're no longer believed when it comes to all this pain and suffering that you're allegedly feeling from Photon, okay? It's just not happening, baby. Yeah. So, but I definitely wanted to point that out. And I also want to point this out too, right? Shout out to Samba Queen, because I really don't think Samba was intending to upset Carrie Ann, right? I don't. I don't even think Samba knew Carrie Ann was watching, okay? Like most of us didn't know Carrie Ann was watching, okay? I'm pretty sure there was one or two that knew, but most of us didn't know that Carrie was watching the show, okay? So, Samba was just up there, a part of the show. You know how Photon shows go, right? It's mostly going to be a bunch of narratives and stuff. It just is what it is. It's going to be like that. And I don't believe that Samba was purposely laughing at Photon and whatever responses he was given about Carrie, just to make Carrie mad. Now, is that one of her arch enemies now? Yeah. Okay. But Carrie, that's kind of Carrie's fault. Carrie has turned on every woman in this sector, minus a couple of people, right? She has literally disrespected a lot of people around here. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that she would do that with Samba. Okay. But either way, she hopped up there and, was trying to go at Samba because she is in competition with Samba. Okay. Like literally. Carrie Ann does this. She goes into competition with different women and different situations because she feels like she has to. I don't know why. It was a time when she was doing this with me too. I get how Samba feels, how, you just stop going over there because every time you're over there, this chick got your name in her mouth. Every time. That's how it was for me, right? Just because I disagreed with her, just because I didn't, conform to her ideologies of feminism and different things like this is why Carrie Ann started coming for me, right? And I went over that a while ago. But either way, yeah, I totally understand how Samba felt. Really, really do. And shout out to her, because, we are completely understanding of exactly why you can't fool with Carrie Ann, and you can only give her but so much because it's just crazy the kind of stuff that she be doing. But either way, I just wanted to bring up a lot of those highlights. There was a lot more stuff that happened too. It's just way too much to go over in one setting. And then we got some new stuff coming up today. So it looks like Photon DNA will be live in about a few minutes. And it says on the phone with Marvin. So I'm wondering if he is going to be on the phone with Knockout's brother. If he is, child, this is going to be another epic live stream. It's going to be crazy. So let's go ahead and get into this church stuff because we got to get this out the way so we can get on in here and start talking about all this stuff. What's up, We Are Lock and Ray Triggs? I appreciate y'all being in the building. And beautiful Bernice, I appreciate you. You said I agree, T-Pre. Yeah, definitely, right? All right, so anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get into this stuff with this guy here because he is something else, child. Okay. And when I first heard about him, right, I didn't put the two together that he was actually Bishop Bernard Jordan's son. Okay. Until I ran into, because I did some research on this, and until I ran into a photo of the two of them together, right, holding some kind of trophy or whatever they were holding. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Now, let's start reading a little bit of what's going on with this man right here. And this is the pay to pray. Okay. A self-proclaimed prophet praying on the faithful. And I'm getting this from qcnews.com. So I will put a link to this in my description box. This is out of Fox 46 Charlotte. So we're going to talk about this. Okay. Now, as we all know, Bishop Larry Reed, Bernard Jordan, and all these people, they're all in the North Carolina area, or at least their churches were in the North Carolina area. Okay. Now I believe Larry lives in Atlanta. We all know he closed his church and what happened with that. Okay. Well, actually, I don't think I went fully into the church closing. I will go into that at another time with Larry Reed. But Bernard and then they're all out of this whole area. Okay. So this is where this is coming from. It's coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina from Fox 46. A self-proclaimed prophet who lives a lavish lifestyle in $1 million Florida homes is telling his followers, including the faithful in Charlotte, that they will receive a quote-unquote financial reward if they give him money. Now, a truck driver named Eric Elmore, who frequently drives through Charlotte, donated more than $3,000 to Manasseh Jordan Ministries after receiving a robocall. He thought the money would bring him blessings. I just thought it would improve my quality of life and my current situation, said Elmore. It did not. Prophet Yakim Manasseh Jordan has engaged in what some call a pay-to-pray scam. Robocalls, which were obtained by Fox 46, connected to Jordan, offer prayers from the non-existent St. Mary's Prayer Center in exchange for money. Several churches with the name St. Mary have had to issue alerts that are not affiliated with the scheme. Jordan, who was claimed to raise the dead and heal the sick, promises riches and rewards to those who give him quote-unquote seed money. There has been some money that has been delayed, a robocall recording on Jordan's behalf says. In other words, you were supposed to receive it by now. Now, to receive God's quote-unquote financial reward, people are urged to donate a quote victory or quote releasing seed to Jordan. I want you to move quickly with a victory seed of $43. I want you guys to listen to these numbers, okay? $43 or $143 or $243 seed, and the robocall says, and the seed of $1,043. So I did a little bit of numbers on that, right? 4 and 3 is 7. 4 and 3 is 7 plus 1 is 8. 4 and 3 is 7 plus 2 is 9, and then 10. Okay, so he's doing 7, 8, 9, 10, which is numerology. Okay, which is spirituality, which is a form of black magic. Okay, just to let you guys know. Now, he says the robocalls promising rewards and riches are now preying on Charlotte's faith community. They are the same robocalls that Jordan got him in trouble with the Federal Communications Commission in 2016. And guys, we are going to go over those documents in just a moment. In North Carolina, there have been 20 complaints filed against Jordan between 2013 and 2017 for robocall violations, according to the Attorney General. It was like all the things that were terrible in my life would come to an end, said one woman who only wanted to give her first name, which is Debbie. Debbie also gave Jordan money and then was hit up for more the next day. The next day, yeah, every day, every day, every day, she said. Now, Jordan says his calling is to touch the people. He did not respond to Fox 46's multiple requests for comment over several weeks. And he has been sued at least 20 times in federal court since 2013, according to court records. One case accuses Jordan's robocalls of calling one man 300 times, y'all. That's nuts. It doesn't stop, said Andrew Nataro, a science teacher who filed a complaint with the FCC. It's no fun when I'm sitting there at work and I get a phone call and it's another number again. It changes every time that they call. At Christ Church in Charlotte, Pastor Howard Brown preaches that faith is in fact free. It makes me sad that people will continue to make faith a commodity that could be sold for personal benefit, said Brown. It's part of a bigger problem, a kind of false belief that you have to earn God's favor, that God has to be paid something or do a certain work or certain good thing in order for God to be good to you. And that's exactly what that gives, right? Don't make no sense how much, these churches will attempt to make you believe that you have to pay for God's love. In order for God to move on your behalf, you have to give him all of your hard-earned, all of your earnings. That doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. And that's not in every religion, to be honest. That is particularly in the Christian church. Okay. I know for the Muslims, it's a bit different. They actually tell you to take care of your family first. They tell you to make sure that you got food in your house. Okay. Make sure your kids got clothes on their back. Okay. And that kind of stuff before you're giving up money to, and handing over money to the, to God. You must take care of your family and take care of yourself. That's actually a commandment in the Quran. Okay. But in the Bible, or at least in the church, we ain't gonna say the Bible. We're gonna say the church. Some of these churches, they be doing a whole lot of different shit. Okay. Definitely. So either way, let's get back to this here. Now, it says, it is unclear how much money Prophet Manasseh is raking in. However, records show that he lives a luxurious lifestyle. He recently owned at least 2 waterfront properties in Florida worth over $1 million each. As for Elmore, the only thing he was rewarded was regret. After giving money to Manasseh, he was in an accident. Then he lost his job. I do feel like I've been cheated, said Elmore. The money that he gave, he now wishes he could get back. The good Lord will judge him, is what he said. And I believe that as well, right? I definitely believe that and there's nothing wrong with being prosperous, right? I want to make that clear. There's nothing wrong with prosperity. There's nothing wrong with being prosperous, having things, owning things, having nice things. Nothing wrong with that at all. It is really bad, though, really, really bad when the prophet or the minister of the church is living a lavish lifestyle and everybody in the church is dirt broke or dirt poor. That's a problem. That is an issue, okay? And we see that over and over and over and over and over again, okay? Now, I want to talk about one particular prophet or one particular pastor who that is perceived to not be the case, right? And that is Creflo Dollar. Now, if you go to Creflo Dollar's church, it's in Atlanta, okay? And you'll see that a lot of the members, they drive Benzes, they drive BMWs and stuff like that. But I also want you to understand the area that the church is in. Okay. It's in Atlanta. It is very, very common for people to drive vehicles like that there. It's very common for people to live well in Atlanta, right? Even in the quote unquote bad neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? It's still not, it don't look like the projects. It's not like most places you would think, right? Um, like College Park, for instance, over by the airport, is a lot more hood than Southern College Park is, right? I used to live in Southern College Park, so down there near Fairburn, okay, which is still in Atlanta, but it's further south. And so, but it's different in that particular part of town. But in the part of town that I was living in, huge big houses, everybody's living well, everybody's doing well, you know, everybody's kind of making the same kind of money, that kind of thing. But it's most definitely, you know, a thing to be you know, living a certain way in that area. Okay, it's just what it is. That doesn't mean everybody down there is rich and doing a thing. It's just a thing that is just how it is in that area. Okay, so you know, everybody's living a certain lifestyle. So I'm not surprised that people that attend Creflo Dollar's church are driving a Benz or driving a BMW or something, you know, or they, you know, I'm not surprised at that, just based off of the area that they're in. But if you took them out of that area, I guarantee most of the members of that church would not be living that well. Okay. Especially, and I'm pretty sure they're giving a hell of a lot more money to Creflo than they are to, you know, themselves. And that's the sad part about it. It's the fact even Creflo has a plane. None of them got no planes and none of that stuff. You know, he got all this stuff going on, you know, and you know, he's still a false prophet, you know. So, but either way, that's, I just wanted to talk about him and the connection with you know, funds and how people are giving money to these churches and they're not doing well themselves, but the minister is doing excellent, right? So that was just a really crazy situation that this young man went through. And, you know, but either way, you got to be financially responsible as well. One of the things for sure and for certain, I will say, and that, like I said, I like about the Muslim religion is the fact that you are encouraged to save money and to take care of your family first, right? And then give 10%. You're not supposed to give and then hopefully God will fix, you know, and give you something. That's not how that works, right? Hey, Spirit Mouse, I appreciate you being in the building. But that's not how that works. But either way, that is what people you know, that's what people like to do. And you got to stop doing that. People have to stop relying on the idea that God needs you to give him some kind of money in order for you to come out of some other situation, right? You could actually manifest yourself out of situations. If there's a situation that's going on, there's a situation that's happening, God has already given you the power and the ability within yourself to manifest what you need. Okay. You don't need to give anybody else your goods and the things that you need to manifest in order for it to be manifested. You already have that power. You already have that energy. You just got to tap into it, you know? And a lot of people just don't know that. They think that they have to go to some spiritual guru or they have to go to some quote unquote prophet or something in order for, you know, them to prosper. And that's not true. It really is not. It's so far from the truth. It's not even funny. But either way, let's get into this federal commission's communication. I'm actually going to, let me share my screen because I'm actually going to, I don't think I want to go over this full one because it's so long. It's kind of big. So I don't really want to do that. It's actually pretty long. It's like 11 pages long, but I'm going to go over most of it and just kind of show you guys what is being said here in this court case. Okay. So this is the Federal Communications Commission before the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. in the matter of Yakim Jordan, a.k.a. Manasseh Jordan, Prophet Manasseh Jordan, Prophet M. Jordan, Yakim Manasseh, Robert Jordan, Yakim, Manasseh Jordan, Yakim Jordan. Okay, you got a bunch of names. And this is the case number right here if you guys ever want to take a look at it. Okay. Now, this is the citation and order, pre-recorded messaging, message violations. Now, as most people know, it is illegal to do robocalls over and over and over and over again. It is also illegal to continue robocalls after certain times of the day, before certain times of the day. Also, what else is it? Yeah, you can only do like once a day, I think it is, and it has to be at a certain time. And then once you actually get what it is that you're looking for, you can't keep calling, right? You just can't. There are laws against that. This is why they have cracked down on telemarketing. They have cracked down on all this stuff. And these are some of the rules that are in place, to protect consumers. Okay. So this was back in September of 2016. And it says by the Chief Telecommunications Consumers Division Enforcement Bureau. Notice of citation. This citation and order notifies Yakim Jordan, a.k.a. Manasseh Jordan, prophet, y'all got all his names, right? And Manasseh Jordan Ministries collectively, that Manasseh Jordan's parties, that they violated the law by infringing consumers' rights to be free from unauthorized pre-recorded calls to their wireless phones. Specifically, the Manasseh Jordan parties violated provisions of the Communications Act of 1934, as amended Communications Act or Act, and the Commission's rules, collectively rules, that regulate calls made to wireless phones using automatic telephone dialing systems or auto dialers or an artificial or pre-recorded voice. We therefore direct Manasseh Jordan parties to take immediate steps to comply with Section 227 of the Act, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, Section 64.12 of the Rules of FCC Orders, which prohibit making auto-dialed or pre-recorded message calls to any wireless phone unless the calls are made for emergency purposes to collect a debt to the federal government or with the prior express consent of the called party. If the Manasseh Jordan parties fail to comply with these laws, they may be liable for significant penalties. Notice of duty to comply with the law. We issue this citation pursuant to the Section 503B5 of the Act, which states that the Commission may not impose monetary forfeitures against non-regulatees who violate the rules of the Act unless and until A, the Commission issues a citation to the violator, B, the Commission provides the violator a reasonable opportunity to respond, and C, the violator subsequently engages in conduct of the type described in the citation. Accordingly, Manasseh Jordan parties are hereby on notice that they must comply with Section 227 of the Act and Section 64.12 of the rules. Any of the Manasseh Jordan parties who subsequently engage in any conduct of this type, of the type this citation describes, and specifically any violation of TCPA and the Commission's accompanying rules, may be subject to civil penalties, including but not limited to substantial monetary forfeitures. In accessing such forfeitures, the Commission may consider both the conduct that led to this citation and the conduct following it. All right, so this is a little bit of background of Congress and the Commission seeking protection for consumers. And then we'll talk here about what happened. So Yakim Jordan, who most commonly goes by Prophet Manasseh Jordan or Manasseh Jordan, operates Manasseh Jordan Ministries, a nonprofit charitable organization registered under Section 501C of the Internal Revenue Code. According to the Manasseh Jordan Ministries website, Mr. Jordan moves in the realm of quote unquote accurate prophetic ministry. The website provides opportunities for interested parties to seek prayer from Mr. Jordan, purchase musical and instructional recordings, and make donations to Manasseh Jordan Ministries. Further, the website asks users to participate in Manasseh Jordan Ministries partner program by committing a generous monthly donation ranging from $30 per month to more than $500 per month. The website states that Jordan appears on television weekly and live at various national and international speaking engagements. The Manasseh Jordan Ministries makes robocalls that urge recipients to call Mr. Jordan to obtain information that he claims to have regarding the called parties' personal lives. A recent press report described one robocall as follows: "The Lord began to speak to me, and he showed me major losses that you have experienced within the last 2 to 5 years." The 25-year-old Brooklyn native breathy, warbly, slightly British inflected message states. But Jordan goes on there is a miracle favor cloud, a prosperity blessing, and a financial blessing coming your way, and to the loved one as well. Which loved one? It's almost as if the second letter of the second syllable in the name is like a vowel making an ah or an a sound, Jordan says. I must know how much money you are asking God to release. Mr. Jordan's robocall message then exhorts the recipient to contact him by email immediately so that the recipient can receive this quote-unquote prophecy. Numerous consumers filed complaints with the commission after receiving robocalls placed by Manasseh Jordan parties. In addition, the Manasseh Jordan parties have been sued multiple times under the TCPA's private right and action for making robocalls to consumers without their prior consent. The commission previously issued a citation against Mr. Jordan's father, Bishop, E. Bernard Jordan, for violations of Section 227 of the Act and Section 6412 of the rules for placing auto-dialed and pre-recorded calls to wireless and residential phones on behalf of the organization located at an address that has been used by Manasseh Jordan Ministries. Okay. Now there's a lot more stuff going on in here, but this is basically the crux of what it is. Okay. And I do want to kind of end the show, but that is the crux of what is going on with this situation. Now, the eerie similarities between father and son is Bernard Jordan has also experienced these same violations for this same thing. Okay. He actually did the same thing. He was doing these profit calls. And a matter of fact, I think I had a text message from Andrea Garrison over that. I don't know if I still have it or not. Let me see if I still have that up here. But either way, she had sent some messages talking about this very same thing, talking about how Bernard Jordan was giving out these fake prophecies. And you had to, in order for you to get the prophecy, you had to send some money, or there was something in particular you would have to do in order for him to even consider you and all this other stuff. And then he would give you like this generic prophecy right after you sent your money or after you sent whatever. He would do the same thing. And it was more than just that. So he would say something like, oh yeah, send me, this money. And then when you send it in, he's going to tell you this prophecy, but it turns out it was like a generic prophecy. So he would tell you the same thing he would tell somebody else and somebody else and somebody else and anybody else. And then people started comparing these notes and finding out that these quote unquote prophecies that are coming through, everybody's getting the same prophecy. Okay. So that is what's going on with these guys. Okay. And we are definitely going to get a little bit deeper into Bernard Jordan and his church. We're going to talk about Larry and them a little bit more, and what was going on with that church and what happened there. But I just wanted to bring this story to you guys and just let you guys know what was going on with Bernard Jordan's son and how he was out here scamming the community. Okay. And attempting to take people's money and is living this great, lavish, wonderful lifestyle all while doing that. Okay. But we are about to end the show here. I definitely appreciate everybody for coming out today. Make sure that y'all do hit the like button on the way out. And guys, make sure y'all go over to Photon DNA. I believe he's live now. So we're going to go over there now. Appreciate everybody for being in the building, and hit the like button, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Peace, guys.